Val said she couldn't make it today. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
but it's like
You know, we will
when you're here.
Yeah.
call this regular meeting of the Cuesta Independent School Board of Education to order at 6:05. Today is Tuesday, the 21st of 2026. Roll call.
Member Hill. Member Romero.
Present.
Chairman Rael.
Present.
Vice Chair Cordova. Member Cisneros.
Present. You have a quorum. And for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, indivisible, with perfect among human cultures.
Next item, approval of agenda.
I'll put it a little bit.
Question, do you guys do the recommendation and approvals, or do I ask for approval of everything?
Well, pretty much the president,
Okay, okay.
but
If there's ever a time,
yeah,
just like say if there's something on the agenda that you don't have the information or something's not flowing, you can tell us. I recommend that you remove that because.
yeah.
Thank
You
you.
don't want the stuff that goes
I'll move.
with second. Next item is approved.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. First and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
President Ryan, excuse me, I didn't get the second.
I second.
Okay, thank you.
Next item, approve, amend, or disapprove prior meeting minutes for item A, minutes of school, regular school board meeting, July 7th, please.
Second.
First and second. I'm gonna abstain because I wasn't present for that meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next item, welcome introduction of guests. Thank you all for being here with us for our school board meeting, taking the time and on your busy schedules to visit with us. Want to do introductions?
So I'm Mr. Alfonso Castillo, the district superintendent.
Joey Seguras, executive secretary.
Connie Martinez, new fourth grade teacher.
Darren, maintenance.
David Larson, Assistant Principal and Athletic Director.
I'm Melissa Hernandez, High School Middle School Principal.
Riley Atkins, elementary principal.
Jessica Joseph, I'm a citizen, but I'm also an elementary teacher at Taos Municipal Schools, going from 3 to a 1-2 split.
Daryl Ortega, have a child that goes to, going to be a sophomore this year, and I also sit on the city council, and I'm a community member, so.
Thank you. Jeez, that's good. I would have liked.
Antoine has one too.
I haven't.
I wanted to keep it because the school's open.
Keep the schools open. I want to sign up for public comment and report.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Next item is public comment. So for public comment, I get 3 minutes.
Can you go first, Daryl?
You said it first.
Yeah, you're.
Okay, I was first, okay. Let's see if I can do this in 3 minutes. So, good evening, and I do appreciate public comment, at all these meetings. I'm here to talk about 3 different things. One is a follow-up from the last time I came a few months ago, where we asked why Cuesta Independent School District was on the Kit Carson website as supporting the hydrogen project, and you guys had a quorum meeting, and then we found out at that meeting that the previous superintendent had in fact signed a form that said he supported it, and then you guys discussed, well, maybe you're not supporting specific projects, but you're supporting working with Kit Carson towards educational programs in the school and such. So I just wanted to follow up on that because I'm just wondering, that superintendent is now gone and none of you even knew he signed that, but QISD is still listed as a supporter on the hydrogen page under the hydrogen project at Kit Carson. So I just wanted to mention that. Also kind of wanted to follow up because you guys said you were going to talk with Kit Carson about safety and school starting and construction mitigation, and I haven't heard anything more about that, so I'm kind of hoping for an update. And while I am not a parent and I'm not a teacher at the school, I also don't have kids, and while I can't speak for other people, I want to kind of assure you that I'm here because like a whole bunch of people can't be here. A lot of families, one family who even, well, that's another story. So I just think that people are looking for answers on that. Okay, so the second thing then is that regarding this construction site out here that's been kicking up so much dust that sometimes the Conisto workers have to go home. So we have been asking EPA, Department of Health, Department of Environmental, New Mexico Environmental Department, Chevron, everybody to do soil samples, water samples, and air samples because they're 18 years old. And we are continuing to ask for that. But in the meanwhile, we went and took our own independent soil samples and collected money and paid for them. And those came back. And I believe I've sent them around to some of I'm not sure if they've come across your desks yet. I'm happy to email them to you. But the 3 samples that we sent in and tested for at least 5, what we could afford, molybdenum, uranium, Alta Vista sample came back contaminated for all 5 and the highest of all of them even closer towards the site. I think people are so concerned about this. I don't even have children here and I don't teach here and I'm concerned for this community. And I just think it's of utmost importance for something to be done here. I mean, in my opinion, there's no construction mitigation. They're using water, but not enough water to keep all that dust down. So I've appealed to Chevron to please take immediate samples. I have also appealed to Chevron to please immediately start plans to build a brand new elementary school for this community because these children and teachers are breathing toxic dust.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, I didn't get to say my 3rd thing, but I guess he'll.
I don't know if it's on there or not, but the one thing, whenever you're
Go
ready.
ahead, yours.
So the one thing I'm really concerned about is, the board didn't approve a community center, a convention center for some odd reason. If you guys are here for kids, that's one of the main things that community convention center would be used for, is for our youth and our elderly to use. But, it was a 2-1 vote from what I looked at and 1 abstaining vote. I'm a little disappointed in that, to be honest with everybody here, because, if you're here for kids and that's what this is all about, then you guys should have wanted to, not that we need your approval on the council, we can do it ourselves, but it would be nice to have some approval from the district saying, you know what, we would like to see something like that for the kids. We have nothing here for kids, nothing at all. And we all need to work together on getting something for kids. Graduations, everything has to be in Red River. A wedding has to be in Red River. A birthday has to be in Red River, a house or somewhere else. We have facilities here. And if you guys were to join on and say, we're interested in helping you guys with this forward, that would be great, but to not vote for it, I'm a little disappointed. Second thing is, I know you guys are building a new school. I heard you guys talk about building it back here behind Alta Vista, and I said that was a bad idea. With what came out on these reports of the contamination, it's really a bad idea. No kids should be in any kind of area close to that tailings and that, mess. It's unfortunate that they have to pay the watershed protectors out of their pocket to do a test that Kit Carson should have done to make sure that we all are okay and our kids are okay,
And then
that it's safe, and they didn't do it, and they refused to do it. So for you guys to, put a letter of support, I think you guys just shot yourself in the foot, because there's contamination right in your back door, and you guys are saying, yeah, let's move on with the hydrogen plant. Let's kick up the dust and send it to the kids. That's what it's gonna go. It's gonna go kids here, kids north, wherever the wind blows. So I'm a little disappointed in those two things. I haven't heard anything more on where you guys are in building a school at, or what the status is. This thing's been passed for a while now. I haven't seen any community meetings. Is there gonna be community meetings? If not, let us know, because, we need to know as a community on what's going forward in the community. But that youth community center is very, very important to this community. And like I said, we don't need you guys to vote on it. And, I've seen it on the videos. They want the council to come in front of the board to get approval. Really, we won't need to do that. We can do it ourselves, and you guys can look like the bad people because you didn't want to do it, for the kids. But you guys are here for kids. That's what you guys are all here for. Kids in the community, and that's what you should be supporting. So if you're not supporting that, then you should think twice about sitting on the board. Maybe, take up some other craft or activity. But, we're here for kids, and that's what we need to do, is take care of the kids in our community and our elders. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ortega, for your comments. Next item, approve, amend, or disapprove administrative and department report. Mr. Ortega, up is, maintenance.
Mr. President, members of the board, good afternoon. Everything's looking good, clean wise, getting everything prepped for the new year. Shampooing, waxing, it's all getting done.
President,
What's it?
so we haven't had no update on the floor in the gym for
Costilla.
Castilla.
No, I couldn't get to go. Tuesday, I'm hoping I could get out there and we'll see what they have to say on it.
Okay. And then the other thing, are we trying to do anything about the prairie dogs at the high school site?
Okay, yeah, we have a kind of a plan to get rid of them, but I do have a question for you guys is, Good Riddance, was taking care of them. But the only thing, the pallets that he was throwing, it has to be a constant, period of time that he has to do it. And I talked to him about it and he said he wasn't budgeted to go that far. So I don't know what happened there or what, but I told him to,
What's the treatment that he needs to do? Like how long of a period?
there are pallets that he puts in and then he has to go back like, I believe a month or two and he'll put them again.
Maybe
but
you
the-
can see if you can have him get us a quote just specifically just for that. And then he can bring it to us to see if we can.
And yes, that's what I asked him, to put a quote together to see how much it would cost us to get rid of them. But that was the problem that he told me, yeah, that he couldn't, the budget didn't allow him to keep forward, yeah.
Okay.
President Ryan, if you'll allow me to address that question as well. We did get a quote from him and we did get the paperwork started. So he'll be coming out for the whole year at high school. And I apologize, Darren, that I didn't share that with you. He'll come out at the high school. The Alta Vista is a little bit different, more difficult for him, but he'll be coming out on a monthly basis. He just has to order the stuff and it takes a while for him to get it. But we do have the quote and we do have a requisition.
Okay.
So that was-
I
Sorry, Darren, I
had
didn't share
spoke
that
to
with you.
him about the prairie dogs and he said that something to do with the new capsules that he puts in the holes were getting harder for him to get,
Oh, yeah.
something like that. So,
Well, they were having some kind of a meeting with, Forest or,
It changed, yeah.
yeah, he said they might, not allow it anymore. But I guess they did because he came and put it.
Yeah.
So that's
Well,
good.
Like maybe a week and a half ago when I had spoken to him. So
Yeah. Right.
Any other questions for me? Nutrition. Go ahead, sir.
So, do we have a plan, I guess, to improve the meals this year? What's gonna be different than what we've been doing?
Now, we've talked before about the menus, we've added new items last year with the kids of life. I think we're gonna have to go back to just really talking with the cooks and seeing, coming up with a plan with them. As far as the menus and that, I think they meet all the standards and everything that government requires, but like I said, it's more of preparation type thing.
Members Cisneros, members of the board, we will be meeting with the cafeteria staff upon the return to the school district. So at this time, they're still on summer break. Once they return on August 3rd, we will schedule meetings with them.
Okay, you know, how's the schedule gonna work for breakfast and?
I'll let the site administrator discuss their
Okay,
schedule.
we could go over that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I just have a question. Do you know how many meals we served for the summer program?
We didn't get any summer program going because we didn't have any workers to run it. And so we put it out, our cooks, they weren't able to do it this summer, and then we reached out and posted it and just didn't find any cooks.
So we didn't serve a single sack lunch. Any other questions for nutrition? Okay, now we'll move on to transportation.
So you do have my report in front of you. Do you have any questions?
Did we get any new drivers?
Did we get any? We don't hire the new drivers, contractors hire new drivers, so as far as I know, they haven't reached out to me, they give me more information to.
Or is this just for the quarter training? To see if we had any new faces or not?
Yeah, I'm only aware of the drivers now that we currently have that we do the quarterly training. Until they come in and actually give me documentation of all the paperwork that's required, I won't put them on this, to do the training.
Yeah, it's getting harder to find, for sure. Any questions for transportation? What?
are all the contractors buses, we have them all set with cameras and all those things been worked out, everything's good to go?
Correct. We had the camera service, I can't remember if it was February or March. We had a gentleman that came in and rewired everything to make sure, so they are, I did notify the drivers, that they need to come in and make sure that they're working before school starts.
Okay, cool.
Any more questions for transportation? Move on to athletics.
Yes, that's me. Do you guys have any questions with what was given to you for board report? Matter of fact, the second bullet point I definitely want to talk about. Maria Medina was awarded the Cheer Coach of the Year for the state of New Mexico, and that is going to be presented during the New Mexico Athletic Association Coaches Conference this week, Thursday, Friday. I will be in attendance, and I'm also trying to get our principal to also be there in attendance to kind of celebrate her achievement over there. Going to be attending that sports conference, of course. And is there any other questions that you guys have at this time?
Under your review of the student and the athletic handbooks, is there anything sticking out?
Yeah, there was one thing that was handed in last year with the previous superintendent in establishing a weekly eligibility report. And really what I was working on with the student and athletic handbook was incorporating that verbiage into those handbooks. So it wasn't something that's going to be blindsided to the student or the parent. And I was also going to be having meetings with at the beginning of the year for all athletes on that, as well as the coaches. And matter of fact, I talked to almost all the coaches except for, of course, track, who we don't have a head coach yet currently. But they are aware I will be doing weekly eligibility reports.
Questions?
Did you, I see you have it listed on there, but you meet with, or do we have a soccer coach?
We have Domingo is still listed as a soccer coach, but right now we have only had 3 students interested in soccer, and we're needing a minimum of 11, I believe. So right now we're going to be still waiting until more to the beginning of school before anything to see how numbers are, to see whether or not we have a soccer team or not this year.
How's the scheduling going for games? Are we moving them to Thursday, Fridays?
Yeah, matter of fact, I've had to contact a lot of the schools that were in our district, and for volleyball, most of them are Saturday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So I want the students in class as much as possible, and trying to keep it to Tuesday, Thursday, if anything. But if we can definitely get it on a Friday, Saturday, I'm definitely trying to get that, especially our further away transportation trips.
Oh, especially what about for football? How's that going?
Football is actually going real well. There's only one team I have not been able to get in contact with because 2 high schools are changed to a co-op team, and they're not in session as of yet. I did contact someone within one of those schools, and he's reaching out to both teams' athletic directors and getting in touch with me on that.
Those games are going to be mostly Friday games?
Friday and Saturday.
Okay. Well, those are some big travel far.
Yeah, our far travel ones are on Saturday. So that there's plenty of time for them to go have the game, come on back, and they're not coming home at 11 p.m. They're coming home at a reasonable hour. And it won't interfere with school activity, other classwork.
Any more questions? All right. Technology.
Technology. Is there anyone here for technology?
No, I'm just not.
He's not here. He's on my bulletin. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Apologies.
Yeah.
He's on vacation this week, and his person that's filling in for him hasn't shown up yet, so he'll be here tomorrow. But he did provide a report in your board packet stating that he would be absent and that, just to, if you have any questions, please let me know and I can forward them to them.
Questions?
Mr. President, I'll direct this to you, Mr. Castillo, but, you know, for early on conversation, we were talking about getting away from a bunch of the tech stuff and being away from the Chromebooks. Do we have a plan how we're gonna remove all those from the classrooms or?
Yes, I'll discuss it in my board report.
Okay. Cause I noticed here that he's doing Chromebook prep, but if we're gonna mothball them, maybe we don't have them spend their time on, too much time on Chromebook stuff.
Well, please note on the Chromebooks, they do need the Chromebooks for short cycle assessments. There are state mandated tests, being that our middle school is in a CSI designation. They have to conduct, excuse me? Intermediate, sorry. Schools in CSI designation, they do have to do monthly assessments. And then they're required with those monthly assessments to do 30 minutes of tutoring a week. So there will be times where we're not gonna completely take away Chromebooks, but we're gonna limit their use. And it has been discussed with our administrative staff as well. So please note that we are in a technological age, so completely removing them from the classroom will affect our students. So I know they have their cell phones and things like that, but we do have to still offer those particular technological uses for them to utilize in the classroom. It's just we're gonna limit them, just not completely eliminate them.
If there's not an option for paper-based testing unless the student has that.
We'll go on that for the principal for high school.
Any questions regarding technology? We'll go to the recess, please, for this time.
I can read it. Everyone's like, you want to read it, it's in front of you, but I've been working with Miss Hernandez and Mr. Larson collaboration a lot, and our building is ready. We just have one little floor to wax, and we're ready for students and staff to return. School supplies that weren't donated, they've been ordered, except for headphones. And it's more of a sanitary and comfort, so that's one thing that we're gonna ask parents to buy. And rationale, if Sally breaks her headphones and borrows Tommy's, well, you know, they might be too big, too small. It's a sanitary thing. It happens a lot at the elementary. And then I am going to be attending the pre-K admin meeting next week. That's what I attend every year. And as for special ed, we do have a gen ed teacher returning to special ed, so we'll be training her on new laws, regulations, current updates. So where we sat also.
Been on the
Gen ed side. We're looking for some EAs, but we have applicants that we're just screening them so we can interview.
but the teaching staff is filled. Good. Any questions? Move on to high school principal.
Chair Rayo, members of the board, you have my board report. If there's anything that you'd like me to highlight or if you have any questions, please let me know. And if you know of any counselors, please send them my way.
Is that your only staff position?
Yeah, so we were able to work the schedule so that we could make do with what we have at this point. And being given the test scores, in which I know that our superintendent Castillo will be reviewing with you later, we did want to be mindful of making sure that at least our English language arts and our math classes did have those smaller classes. And we tried to keep class sizes as small as we possibly could in the areas that we could. Unfortunately, we did lose a teacher from my building that has to go and support with special ed. So that did create a few things, but I don't feel that it'll be anything detrimental. And I do have an EA floater that will be there to assist on any classes that are above 13 or 14. And I will be attending as well so that I can support our coach in receiving her award. And I've tried to make it to almost every practice to meet all of our coaches and players just because I feel like that's really important. The building is looking great. So I really want to shout out Darren and our custodial staff. And we're just ready to work as far as the supplies. I've already placed orders for the supplies that the board had requested at the last meeting. So that should all be in, and we'll be dispersing those to students when we come back to school. Students like to pick their own backpacks, but if they choose to use one of the clear ones that we have available, we do have backpacks available for them as well.
I have a, and I think maybe it's more for engagement in community.
Yes.
Maybe for both of y'all, but on Sundays they have a farmer's market down there in town. I don't know if it would be worth it, but it would probably be a great idea to have like a registration for kids, or let the community know that they can come and register their kid, what they need, just to kind of show a little bit of the school and the community down there, because there's kids from all the area that kind of attend that. So I think if for recruitment purposes for students, might be worth it to at least go out to the community if they're not coming here to try and get our enrollment done. But something to consider.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. We have done some social media posts, and we also have done some outreach to parents and guardians, just sending a welcome letter, letting them know that we're here. We will have a community engagement activity on the 4th. And so we have that, but I will definitely make that note about the farmer's market.
It would be worth it for you guys, I think, at least so people can see your faces and kind of get an introduction, so to speak.
There's a community booth, so you can ask the person who's in charge of the farmer's market if you could go to the community booth or part of the community booth, and you could have your clipboard or whatever and a little sign that says you're with QISD.
I think it'd be a good opportunity, I guess.
Thank you.
Sure. Any questions?
President,
Go ahead, sir.
okay, so explain how the breakfast and lunch is gonna work this year over there.
So we're going to keep the breakfast from 7:30 to 8 o'clock, so students can come in. Classes start at 8 o'clock. We did do a schedule so that I am separating lunches. So 7th through 9th grade will have a separate lunch. From our 10th to 12th grade, we were able to work our schedule so that helps. I was a little concerned trying to feed 198 students within 45 minutes and what that might look like. So in doing that, we're hoping that that'll help. That'll also give us time for either myself or Mr. Larson if we have students that we do notice are struggling academically, because we want student athletes, not athlete students. So that will allow us also that extra time if we need to pull kids in, have that conversation. We have that separate room where we can meet with them. I myself can offer tutoring if we can find other staff that would be willing to maybe assist with that. But we just felt like it was best to separate, so that way if we did have to have conversations, that was a time so we weren't taking away from their educational time.
One thing I will say is breakfast from 7:30 to 8, I don't think it's ever worked well. I think you end up preparing breakfast for what we have to, those numbers of students, and you get like 10 or 12. Because they're not gonna, they don't have to be there by 8, they're driving on their own, majority of them are not gonna get there by 8. And they don't get to eat, they get into that habit. So I don't know if that's something that can be reconsidered. That last year was the first year I think we did that, and it didn't work any good. So
Well, I am hoping with some of the incentives that I'm trying to offer on attendance, that maybe that will get students to our campus a little bit earlier. Being attendance is something that I want to really focus on this year. But I will definitely meet with Superintendent Castillo to see if there's any changes that can be made to the schedule. As of right now, the school day ends at 3:30. So if we were to expand breakfast, then that would mean a longer day for our students. And I don't know how that would affect transportation. So I was just kind of trying to stay with what the schedule was last year, but ensuring that at least we had that extra time for lunch for our students in 7-12.
So let's jump on, we're gonna open facilities at 5:30. Thanks for giving the jump on the kids and stuff.
Our duty day is going to start at 7:30 for our staff. That is going to be part of the
Is
2
that
hours.
just the high school?
Yeah, ours will still remain at 7:45. Cause our bell will ring at 7:55.
So being that I have that 2 hours a month for other assigned duties, that is part of the duty time that I would like to use to have our staff there so that we can try and encourage families if they need to drop them off earlier. At least we have that breakfast time and we have coverage in the cafeteria. But I'm more than willing to sit with Superintendent Castillo if we need to rework that. We could even just look at what numbers and gather some data, and if we need to change up things next semester, that's definitely something that we can do.
Thank you.
I guess to piggyback on the Chromebook thing, so how, at the high school, how are they gonna be limited, I guess, or what's the plan for that?
So it'll definitely be something that we speak to our teachers about in expectations. As Superintendent Castillo stated, we also need to make sure that they're adequate and they're equipped and they're informed on how to use the Chromebook because we cannot request a paper-based testing from the state assessments. Everything is done on the computer. And it would be a severe student on an IEP that we could maybe try and get paper-based testing. Other than that, it's just not a possibility. But I think that in the work that we're doing with the professional development that we'll be working on with teachers, just expecting that rigor. Obviously, we need them to know how to use their Chromebook. They need that for their next steps, whether they're college or career ready. But really just working with the teachers to ensure that we're doing that engagement. AI is here and just working with teachers on how students can use it, whether it's now they write down their ideas with paper pencil, they get their Chromebook, they type it up, now they can send it to AI, see how to edit it, and then focus on that. But it won't be a daily instrument tool is what we're going to talk to teachers about. That will be our expectation.
So are they gonna have them in their possession, or are we gonna have like a computer lab again? Or?
So at my old school, we called them cows. I don't know what they're called here, but they will be checked out by the teacher. So they're not going to be given to each student. Each student isn't going to check out their own Chromebook. They are going to be class sets versus individual student Chromebooks.
So,
because if they're logging into their Google Classroom, then they don't necessarily need to save anything on their hard drive because everything would be saved in their Google Classroom based off of their login.
okay. So we also, I do know that some districts are putting in policy for AI. I don't think we have one, but I don't know if we want to start working on that. Because it's like, I don't think a child should ever use it, but I guess if they are, I know it can get pretty elaborate. There should be some restraint on this.
Yeah, and a lot of the professional developments that I did at my prior job, it's pretty obvious when a student is using AI because it's pretty devoid of any type of emotion. So that's usually the first catch-all.
You figure it's in its infancy right now, though.
Right.
So
but it is a great tool for students that are needing to build that academic vocabulary, to get them to go from maybe they're below grade level in some of their academic vocabulary, then exposing them to higher academic vocabulary. So there are some benefits to AI, but allowing the student, just giving an assignment and then giving the student their Chromebook to figure it out, that's definitely not one of the expectations that we have. We would like to make sure that they're going through the components of writing, that they're doing the different writing prompts that they're going to see on some of our state assessments, that they're going to see on the PSAT or the SAT, and then allowing them, after the teacher has gone through, they've submitted a written assignment, allowing them to then go in and type it, because we want to make sure that they can type so that they don't get timed out or they don't mess up on their SAT.
like back in the day, they're gonna have to handwrite everything and then get a bunch of red marks on it and then
That's
get a computer later.
That's our hope.
Okay.
So when you get a lot
That's
of
the best way
emails,
to do
when
it.
you get a lot of emails about me, I apologize in advance. But I do think that taking it away from them would definitely be detrimental because the world that we live in is just so technology focused. But I think if we can just set that expectation of going back to that rote learning, academic vocabulary, really having that language objective and moving forward, and if we just continue working with our teachers and we get that buy-in, I think that we can see success in that way.
Do you
does the staff have the ability, I guess, when they turn in their assignment, a notebook or whatever, to see if AI wrote the whole thing, or did they put, because I know at the college level, if you have to write an essay or a term paper or something like that, and you submit that, it'll flag anything that looks remotely AI, and of course you get either a F or you don't, they give you 0 points basically, but.
Yeah, so it's a lot easier to check that if a student does submit it electronically, because then the teacher can just cut and paste into a certain program. But the teacher can also just type in certain parts of something that was submitted to get an AI score. So there are programs out there that are free that don't require any form of payment, so we wouldn't have to buy a subscription. So that could be one way, but in a lot of the trainings that I did before, like really the number one catch is it's completely devoid of emotion. And honestly, if a teacher really knows their students, they're going to know the difference in the academic vocabulary that they're using in the assignment that they're submitting. And we'll also have that data to compare to with our interim assessments as well as our summative assessments. Because I would like to do a lot of crosswalks between how students are performing on our summative assessments and interim assessments, and why are we seeing the grades that we're seeing in the classroom. There needs to be some sort of correlation.
Anything else?
Have all of you been collaborating on the student handbook, getting that ready to,
Yes,
how's that going?
I believe superintendent has it ready to go. We are almost ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, but
Yeah.
you've done your part of it?
Yeah, we loaded it up into Google Drive, and we were all able to edit and work on it collaboratively after we met to discuss different things that we wanted to see that were specific to our campuses.
Okay.
Thank you.
President, here it says that registration starts on the 20th and parents will be, showed how to do it. I haven't gotten the information on that. Why isn't a robocall done out like it goes up for everything else?
Mr. Alfonso, you're up next.
Thank you.
Chairman Ivy and members of the board, do you have any questions for me in my report? If not, I would like to follow up on some of the things that happened since I've submitted my report and just to follow up. Okay, so we did send out on the day before yesterday, we did send out information on parent registration, parent student registration, and also post on the Facebook website. If not, after the meeting, we can share that, print a flyer for you to register for that. So stuff was just sent out. The reason being why it was delayed is because we are switching from our Power School SIS to Synergy SIS, which is our student information system. Being new to the district, I was gonna go through the training this year for Synergy, so I'm catching up rest of this. Our IT person started on Monday, so once she came in, she was able to get everything, create a flyer, send it out. We did have some hiccups on the Monday message, but everything's ready now, so I should be ready to do it, and we'll share it via parent view to you. If you give me your email, I can also email it to you.
It's also posted on Facebook, social.
Yeah.
I don't do Facebook.
Okay.
We did school messenger.
Before seeing it.
Okay, what about the robocall for you?
Was that the school messenger to
I
high school?
think that's the biggest,
Yeah.
The robocall is different.
that's, everybody here is used to
Okay.
robocalls. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll work on that one. I know now with the new SIS, school messenger will be phased out. Although we did purchase a 3-year contract, we are working with Power School to see if we can get reimbursed for that. So we are looking for new programs for the robocalls, text messages and stuff like that. So I do have a few that I have been reaching out and we'll be moving forward with those. Of course, I've been working with staff meetings, probably administrative meetings on a daily basis, preparing for the beginning of the school year. We are working on academic plans, staff plans, campus-wide plans. I've also walked the buildings with our custodian, looking for any deficiencies that we may have that may not delay the opening of the school, but just something that we need to address prior to opening to the school district. Been meeting new staff. I've gone around the community introducing myself as well. We will be talking about a student achievement. I did prepare a slide to share with the board. I just have to go get my flash drive when we're ready. We have been working on the handbooks, particularly the student handbook. We did get it, revise it. I asked for input from all our principals. They've all submitted their input. I did reformat the whole handbook, make it more presentable to the community. The parents, it's something that's gonna be more streamlined. It has a table of contents, stuff like that. We did condense, we did maneuver. There's not changes, the only changes we did were the additions, particularly like the attendance policy that was recently updated. We did add that in there. Of course, the athletic stuff and things like that. I did attend the board leadership work. Yes.
Sorry, before we move on from the handbook, question I have is, where in the, or did you put in the religious exemption into the handbook? We had discussed,
In terms of absences, yes.
no, religious exemption. Is
Yes.
It's in there.
it-
Okay.
It's in there.
Yeah.
How is, so what's the plan of, or how are we gonna highlight that to the community to let them know that's an issue?
I think it's particularly in the teachers, when the teachers do their site meetings, they will let the staff members know in the classrooms that there is a student that is not unable to participate in that particular lesson due to religious beliefs, that they will not be exempted from it, but they will be given an alternative assignment to show proficiency, similar to what's being presented in a classroom. It's not gonna be something completely different, but it's something tailored to their beliefs, or I shouldn't say beliefs, their needs,
Okay.
following the curriculum.
Are the forms gonna be in the handbook, or are they gonna have?
There's no forms in terms of that one. It'll be just on a teacher-student basis. It's from my past experience and
There's no
I'm
form,
working with that. There's a form.
there's a policy in the form.
Okay. Yeah, well, so it'll be available, but we'll
It'd
stay
be
in.
good if it could be in the handbook, just so parents can be, you don't come up with a thing, well, nobody ever told me, or I never knew.
We'll have the information in the handbook that say that there's a form available for it.
Okay.
So we did work on that one. Of course, the attendance policy, all that other stuff. Well, I did attend that leadership workshop this weekend for the board. It was very informative. There was a lot that they went over in terms of changes for the school year. I just want to let the board know that we did receive email from the New Mexico Public Education Department that there's a possible change to the SEG unit value that may come down in January, and I'll share more information with you once it becomes more readily available.
What kind of a change?
Decrease in the
We've
unit value.
already built our budget
Yeah,
based on.
And they did say that, and so I do have our business person working on potential impacts to the school district if it does change. It's a minimal change. It's not gonna be like $100 per student change. It's less than $10 is what we were told, but they haven't given us
What, did they say what prompted that?
just the decreased revenue for the state.
Billions in oil, but
Yeah.
decreased to.
Yeah, a little bit out of our hands, but it's that's what they did. So I do have information that I wanted to share with you in terms of the Go Bond. I did meet with Marco and Venezuela in terms of the Go Bond. This is something I want to send out to the community. I'm just asking for input from the board prior to sending it out to the community. Please note that there are several steps that need to be completed before the school's even built. There's what I was told is with my contact with the PSFA, the guy I'm working with, he told me like right now we're at step one. And I know like in the previous board meeting, you guys had directed me to begin contacting architects. They told me we're not even there yet. We just got the bonds completed, approved now, and we did get payment for the bonds. The next step is the planning and design phase. So they'll be sending somebody out. And please note that it's not in the school district. We have to go off what the state is telling us what we can do. So if the state comes in a month, that's when they're available. There's several school districts in the state that are in the same process we are. It's just that whenever they let us know, okay, we're gonna be here that day, then they come in and let us know. But once I get that information, will share it with you guys. Just to note that our focus remains on opening the school successfully, improving student achievement, addressing facility and program needs, and projecting the district's financial stability. And I have been emailing you guys weekly updates. On the day where we have a board meeting, I will not be sending a weekly update, as it'll be redundant on what I will be expressing to the board. I stand for any questions.
So the student, go back to the handbooks, both handbooks, are they complete, almost 100%?
Okay, so right now, I am waiting on final approval from my administrative staff. I did complete. They sent me all their changes and I reformatted the thing today to make it more presentable to the for the staff and students. I will have it for board discussion the next board meeting, because I think we have a board meeting prior to school starting, correct or no?
August. That Tuesday, we have a meeting that Tuesday.
Okay.
So we need to get it approved.
Please note that handbooks aren't approved. They're just running documents.
No, we approve.
You approve them?
Every school district should approve their handbooks, but it is allowed for, once you approve it at the beginning of the year, after that, if changes need to be made,
Yeah.
administrators can make changes to the handbook and then they bring it to the board after the changes are made.
Okay.
But every district should approve them prior to the school starting.
All right. We'll put it up for approval for the next board meeting. And of course, with that, I also include the athletic handbook.
Yep, both of them.
Thank you. Any more questions?
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So what was brought up in public comment that a soil sample was taken from Alta Vista site? Did anybody come and ask you for approval or
No,
where did it come?
not on
No,
the property,
no.
just beyond it on the south,
I
nothing
just
was
wanted
on,
to see if.
yeah.
if
It's on the
that
southwest
happened or
corner.
not.
Question for
It
you,
was
so
new to me.
you didn't,
Yeah, that's all I wanted to know. Go ahead, sir.
So I guess the only question I have is, I guess it goes back to the scheduling thing. The high school opens at 7:30, opens at 7:45. There's some of the kids that are at the high school that have to drive their kids down here, or they drive their siblings. They drop off 7:45, either on the line, 7:50, 7:52. And by the time you get over, this class started at 8 o'clock up there, and they still don't get breakfast, or that's just my only concern on that and how that's.
some of them are right. Sometimes my big ones have to take the little ones to school first and then.
Well, no, that's why when you said 7:30, I was like, oh, someone going to 7:30, but once you said 7:45, I was like, well, some of the high schoolers do gotta drive the younger kids, their younger siblings to school, drop off, stuff like that.
So we'll look at your concerns. I will meet with my administrative staff and see what we can do in terms of providing, providing a breakfast for the students. I mean, getting them to have breakfast. We do provide the breakfast for the students. Please know we'll take a look at the instructional time that we have throughout the day, because we do have to minimum number of instructional hours. Note that.
I understand
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, I mean, if we have to extend the day 15 minutes to allow for breakfast in the classroom or something.
Here's what I don't understand is how could it be possible over there at 7:30, but right over here, there's not a staff member that can open the door at 7:30? It don't make sense to me how that,
It's the bus schedule.
is that, it's the transportation?
The bus schedule, and then we have to serve breakfast after the bell at the elementary.
Well, I'm not talking about breakfast, I'm just talking about opening the door at 7:30, because I've dropped my kid off there before, and somebody will open the door, so.
And they have to
Because-
wait with me or.
Yeah, or just as long as there's somebody that can supervise them, an EA perhaps, or something else, because parents gotta drop their kid off from here and then drive all the way to Taos to try and be to work by 8, and 7:45 doesn't cut it. I mean, that's just the plain and simple of it, but
Ms. Tyler, we'll discuss this and see what.
yeah, see what we
options
could
can
do,
come up with.
because it's kind of misleading to say we could drop off our kids over there at 7:30, but we can't do it over here. It would be easier on families if they could drop their kid a little earlier. Yeah, they're gonna get breakfast at the time they're supposed to get it, but it's just a matter of. I never understood it. Yeah.
Any further questions?
His brother.
That's
I did, I did just send you information from a
Yes.
lady that puts the EPA meetings out about, because I guess they were led to believe that we weren't allow them, and we didn't have the venue where they could have their meeting here in Cuesta. Did you reach out to her and did she responded?
I didn't reach out to her. I was gonna get the opinion of the board on that to see if all board members were in agreement, so that's something we can discuss in the future meeting.
We can get directed right now, and you guys have an issue if we have a lot of community tech meetings that we.
We approve meetings all the time for allowing,
Funerals and everything.
yeah, all the other stuff. I mean, we basically, kind of like Councilman Ortega alluded to earlier, there's not a place for the community to go no more since the DFW shut down. If we open the door for one, we should open it for all. I don't have an issue with that, especially if it's gonna be EPA coming, would be great because apparently we have contaminated soil close enough.
Have a conversation.
Yeah, at least get that,
Thank you. I will make the contact tomorrow.
that will be fine. Like I say, it's no different than any other. And we have the auditorium down there, and the gym if need be, or cafeteria, or wherever, even this board would have to do this.
Maybe the last on this, have they been in contact with you about using the gym and for the community of Sarah for showers and stuff like that? How's that going?
Nobody's reached out.
So they're not being used?
Nobody's reached out to come in.
Nobody else.
Nobody, yeah, I haven't had any.
And then a follow-up, because I know since John left, I don't know if he's worked on that yet, but we need to outfit that with the generators, that gymnasium. Because it's a site for, we did a MOU or something with the county for natural disaster. If something was to happen, but I think they have a generator available, but what we don't have is we don't have the ability to hook it up to that gym if we ever had to.
I forget what the hell they call that district.
Yeah, the county.
Automatic
needs to-
transfer switch.
Yeah, one of those.
The county needs to.
Yeah, they said that they would make sure that it was on their end that they were gonna do that.
So just maybe to follow up with those guys to see what's the status of that is. It would have been
And
nice.
who do I reach out in terms of that one?
The emergency management, Bobby DeFeo or Mark Ortega. Oh, yeah.
What was the other name?
Mark Ortega.
Thank you.
I guess the question on that, if we look at generator, do we gotta bring the whole building to code?
It's got code. If there wasn't a code, you'd have to tag it and use it.
I thought that was the reason we did not do some of the electrical, you know, please.
That's for
No,
construction.
okay, yeah. If we added a wing or something. And we,
That's all I got, Mr. President.
I have no more questions, just more of a comment to yourself and your staff for their hard work and planning, and it's a lot to get ready with new fresh faces and different eyes seeing things that can use improvement and,
And with that, I would like to thank everybody. I think we've worked really hard as a whole group. I know I've met with like office staff, asked them for their input, administration, custodians, staff members that have come in, a couple of community members that have come in as well. So I think we're all on the same page on how we move forward. And I'm just glad to be here and represent the school district and see, just like I said, it's stated, and we're all in it for the students, so.
thank you, sir.
I appreciate your report. That's been doing that a long time.
Thank you.
That will move on to new business, item A, graduation profile.
So I did speak with the previous superintendent because I've been doing a little bit of audit and see where we're at in terms of certain things. The New Mexico Public Education Department is requiring that every school district complete a graduate profile, and I'm pretty sure that we are out of date on it. So just know that a graduate profile is a profile that the district provides or board approves, and we get community from input from the community members, staff members, students, stakeholders, everybody like that. And I guess the biggest question is what do we want every graduate of our district to know, be able, and value? And of course, another question or fill in the dots, a Cuesta Wildcat graduate is someone who, so when we're developing this profile, and I just wanted to run it by the board, it has to be board approved, which will be ready for the next board meeting. I will be sending out survey to the staff, to the community, for all this stuff to see and we'll compile everything and develop the graduate profile for approval. Please note that it's not just a paper that I'm gonna submit to approve, it's actually a graphic image. And I do have some samples that I couldn't print, but I will share those prior to the next board meeting. The next board meeting, of course, in 2 weeks, it'll be the month meeting. So I did get an extension from the Mexico Public Education Department to complete this graduate profile. So it's be something that we'll be working on as a school district. And of course, there'll also be a survey sent to the board members because we also want your input as well.
Does that just be like career readiness, like what steps? That type of stuff?
So it identifies the knowledge, skills, and attributes every student should possess. So it's not just school. We also want to involve culture with it. Loss of language, loss of culture. We want to put that in, get input in terms of that one as well. What can we do as a school district to preserve culture, language, beliefs, all that other stuff. So that's one of the things too that we're going to ask the community is help us preserve what's here. We don't want the students to lose it.
All right, next item.
No transportation contracts, no.
That's next on the agenda, but are you done with the?
Yes, and I'm gonna rush my office real quick and get a flash drive so I can prepare for my presentation for the assessment.
Mr. Rado, can I just pass these off to you? These have a link, this has a QR code to a new website we have where we put all of our research from the past 6 months. And the soil sample files from the company who did it in Albuquerque can be located in the file section through there if you want to see it. Thank you for your time, I appreciate it. Hope everybody has a great school year.
Thank you.
Next item, discuss and possible action regarding transportation contracts. Has there been any change to last year's contract?
He's here.
Oh, sorry. Is there any change to the contracts?
The only thing that they changed was, we had the 2 routes in the module, so they ended up combining those. There wasn't enough kids, so the state combined those 2 routes up there. As far as the amounts, they sent out the totals in June, so they were adjusting to our 4 routes. So the number you see on the contracts right now are not at the adjusted rates yet. They did say we need to get them approved in July, and then if we have to come back for a bar adjustment once they give us the updated amounts on 4 routes.
Are they going to go up?
It's, from what I calculated, last year they were at about 55 a route, and this year they're at about 63, so they did get a pretty big increase.
Probably for fuel.
I'm not sure how they calculated it, but I'm assuming because of the fuel costs and just everything going on. So they're seeing about a 7,000 to 8,000 increase per route.
It shows two contractors on there. The one that comes from the north, that's just the one route bus, right?
It's the one that they ended up
I'm combining, so it's just the one route. On the other one, how many is on that one? That's three or two?
Three.
Three?
And I had maybe if you need to use a kind of a breakdown of
Oh, yeah.
so the total distribution. This was set up for the 5 routes, so these are probably gonna be the correct amounts.
Okay.
But those will come back for a bar adjustment once the state actually updates us to 4 routes.
Okay. So, cut SCG and increase.
Yeah, they got asked that a few times because it was quite a large increase to the routes.
Well, it goes into DOT.
Yeah.
And so when you pay your fuel tax gets paid into DOT. So
I just don't understand the logic.
I said that the dope was supposed to bring us a bunch of money for education and we ain't get nothing. Yes, I'm pretty sick. Sign it, please, the neck. I will entertain a motion. Either one, it's just on the motion. Motion made by Mr. Meadow to approve both contracts. Second. Second by Mr. Cisneros. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Castillo, please call the roll.
Member Romero,
Yes.
Member Cisneros,
Yes.
Chair Ryan.
Yes. Motion carries. Next item, C, discuss and possible action regarding high-ready learning curriculum services. Okay.
Okay, Chairman Ryan, members of the board, committee members. In beginning, as an instructional leader of the school district, I like to take a look at data to see where our gaps are in the school district, as a whole, where we're struggling in terms of, and this is all, school data, and which I'll be presenting later a little bit after this. Currently, we could not find any short cycle assessment data for, and we call it EOI, end of year data. So every year, school districts, particularly elementary year, they're required to do BOI, MOI, and UI, which we call beginning of the year data, middle of the school year data, and end of year data. And so that helps us drive our instruction. So in the beginning of the school year, we take an assessment, a short cycle, they call them short cycle assessments. We analyze that data and we develop plans, which I will share as well, what our plan is. So then we try our plan out, and then that semester did our plan work or not. And of course, it's not gonna be, we create the plan now in September, it's due in September. And then we revisit the plan in December. It's an ongoing process where we will revisit it. Well, what are we doing? What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? I, as a former district coordinator in the districts I've worked at before, I've gone through a lot of testing programs, short cycle assessment testing programs, which we've had MAPS, we've had Discovery, we've had several ones. The one we recently came across was called iReady. By far, this is the best one that I've seen in providing short cycle assessments. The good thing about it, it's a K-12 assessment platform, so we can see growth or decline from a student from when they're in kindergarten to their 12th grade. Currently, elementary is required to take a mirror testing for math and ELA. Once they get to high school or middle school, they don't have to take those assessments anymore. So we lose track of where they're going. We don't see growth, like we can't see. A mirror doesn't, if we went from a mirror to maps, we couldn't compare the two data because they're two different, completely different testing platforms. iReady is a program that I have used before. I really like it. I think the biggest thing that I like about it is, let's say each of you tested, it would tell you where you're at in terms of your grade level. It would tell you a student, a 10th grader, you're testing at Algebra 1, or it'll tell that student, you're testing at a 5th grade level. And the student sees this. And I think it's important for them that they'll take ownership of their learning. And they'll say, hey man, look, I'm testing at this, I need to step up my game. As a teacher, this class is testing at a certain grade level, what do I need to do? It doesn't just show them where they're testing at, it shows them what they're struggling with. So, and I will do that in my presentation. My request is that we approve this testing, short cycle testing platform. It is an initial cost of $20,000, and the reason being is because half of that is for implementation of the program. Going on forward, it would not be that much to cost. It wouldn't be that much of a cost to the district. It's just because it's an initial learning platform for our teachers, which they will be taking if you do approve this, learning services on the first day of school. So I recommend that you please approve this iReady testing platform for our students. By going on further, I know during my interview for superintendent and then a previous board meeting, I know that there was a lot of talk about scope and sequence. This will help with that because it will help the next year's teachers see where the kids are struggling at so they can develop their lesson plans for getting these kids on target. So we can see if a kid's struggling in 4th grade, numbers in operation, or not just a kid but a class, the teacher can tailor their needs and say, hey, I need to make sure these kids get this number in operation because it specifically tells them which standard and benchmark they are struggling with. So it'll be able to provide that scope and sequence. So when they're having our staff and our site principals are having their professional learning communities, the PLCs, then those teachers can collaborate with each other and say, hey, this is what the needs are for a 5th grade teacher or an Algebra 1 teacher, and then they're able to work with those 4th grade teachers as well. So that's, yeah.
Does this thing, because sometimes with the other testing that we've done with all our assessments, basically even like start taking it and then they lose their focus or whatever, and then they just zoom through it just to finish it. Is it that same kind of platform, or is there like a red flag for the teacher to say, hey, this guy's just zooming through it?
No, you've dealt with it to correct before.
Yeah, I dealt with already. So there is a report that will actually show if a student just took the test quickly. The other thing is, as your district test coordinator as well as your principal, I will also be doing training on ensuring that staff is properly monitoring and walking around the room to ensure that students are taking it seriously, so that we can have those conversations with students if we do see that behavior is happening.
So, when you do look at the report, because when you open the page and it has a dashboard and you can pick a class, and let's say I can pick Miss Hernandez's ELA 11 class. So I can click on that ELA 11 class and it'll show me every single kid in that class, where they tested, where they're struggling and all that. It'll also tell me if they rushed through it. It'll say 30% guessed or something like that. So at that time, we would invalidate their score and ask them to retest.
Yeah, we can reassign another assessment, but it will give us the time that they took in the test.
Yeah.
And does this correlate with the INASA or the state? Like, is this just for in-house or?
Just for in-house.
So they'll be taking.
Well, No, so for grades 3 through 6, they will be doing both. But for grades 7 and 8, it would be iReady in lieu of iMesa. So being that we're not in.
Yeah, they're.
Yeah, so 7 and 8, this would be our state assessment.
In elementary, you'll still be required to take the AMIRA assessment, but please note that AMIRA is a monthly assessment. This is only 3 times a year. And beginning of the year, middle of year, and end of year.
Is this request later on in the packet?
That's for approval now, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
The requisitions at the end.
Okay, just
Okay.
see that it's in the.
Okay.
When you get to the finance.
I guess, was this, I'm just commenting, is it different than the ice station we used to take?
Yeah.
Is it totally
Yeah,
different?
Amira acquired iStation.
Okay, so
Yeah, so that's what Amira is, basically iStation that was brought out and changed a little bit. Well, now when Amira acquired it, they now have that component where the students speak into the microphone, so they can assess them that way, which.
It's terrible.
Please note that I want to piggyback or just add on to what Ms. Anonymous is saying here. For the elementary level, because there's 2 different components to the iReady. There's your secondary level and your elementary level. On the elementary level, when they do group their students, and let's say they're struggling on I think literary text is one of the biggest things that they do struggle in terms of English arts. There are embedded lesson plans in there for each student on how they can help them improve their score. So with that, teachers would be able to group their students in their classroom to provide that extra intervention. If this kid's struggling on this benchmark, then they can get that lesson plan, and when they build their stations, they can be working with, these students could be working on this. And yes, there would be a time there where the students would be on a Chromebook as the teacher's providing one-on-one, let's say in their groups, if they have 12 kids in a class and they break them up in groups of 3, the teacher can be providing intensive intervention with these students. One group of students can be working on their Chromebooks on that one particular thing, and then the other students can be working on a different object, not on the Chromebook, but a different station in regards to ELA and stuff like that. So that's what our hope is and what our expectations are for our teachers, which I will be providing on Tuesday, I will be doing an expectations where I will be sharing all this data that I will be showing you guys now with them and what our expectations are. And when they go back to their sites, they will be working on that as well. So I have tasked my administrative staff on my expectations in improving student achievement and instruction, and they're on the board with it. So it's something that we will be working with the staff on that.
So this stuff is, it's like, are they gonna have to talk into the microphone? and
No,
all that stuff?
Nothing like that, no. This is just a placement test to see where they're struggling at. It's just really for us to get our data and see how we can create action plans to help improve the student achievement.
So the professional learning on this quote here, Are they gonna send instructors? Or
Okay, so
they
do-
have to do online
Yeah.
and that
So-
kind of stuff?
Due to the, coming in, at the beginning of the year, I did reach out to them. They're booked until like January with in-person, learning. I have worked with the lady before, so it will be virtual. She's seen if she can get us a discount on this. Hopefully she can, being that it's virtual, but there is, of course, the professional learning that is required prior to the implementation. This is a one-time thing. That cost will not be there next year.
What will it cost annually if we keep it?
Subtract the 7,200, so it'll be roughly 11,000 a year for this assessment, which is comparable to MAPS. I think MAPS is about that much, and MAPS is could be used K-12, but really all MAPS does is what I've experienced in the past. It gives the students a score, but it's really not a tool that the teachers can use to drive instruction because this one gives you what every kid is struggling in, and so where they can work together with the student to help improve their scores.
I looked for it, I didn't see, but what's this initial, is this just a one-year term or?
If I'm not mistaken, it is a one-year term, correct? Let me see. What was it? Yeah, it's a one-year term.
I don't think it specifies.
Let me check real quick.
There's not like a contract or nothing?
That's the contract there.
Doesn't have a place to sign anything. What's that?
It just asks for the PO and doesn't.
Or give them the instructions on how to buy it, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have any kind of agreement with it.
Yes, it's 1 year. And it's on the second page. It says, I-ready assessment and personalized instruction, not the reading site license for third year students, 1 year.
On page 2?
Yeah, page 2. They all have the 1 year in terms of their quotes, like it's broken down by school.
I see it's broken out by grade.
Like you see 1 year.
It says here, I looked at that, but it doesn't show the contract, because here it says up to 3 hours,
That's
9 through 12, 1 year.
The 3 hours is the professional learning.
So 9 through 12,
It's over here on the terms of service, it says
KZD.
2 years. Customers' professional learning sessions will always expire 2 years following the date of your purchase and year noted on your code, so whichever comes first.
Yeah.
So it's the year,
1 year, yes.
it's a year.
And please note that, we will, it's not something that we're just gonna purchase and get it and throw it to the side. I'm a big person on data. We will be using this data to drive instruction.
Cause I would like to see the contract, cause I wonder if they give you a deal if you commit, cause like why would you do this for 1 year, you know what I mean? Or sign an agreement for 1 year if it's not gonna do any good.
If it's the pleasure of the board, I can reach out to, I-ready to see if they can give us a 3-year discount in terms of it. But please note that the professional learning,
Just stay virtual.
It would have to stay virtual because of the time constraints. But I know the next board meeting is not until August, and we would need this by August 4th. But I could reach out to her and see if, since we're working on this, if they can still provide the professional learning for that.
It'll be 20,000
Initial cost. And that's because of the professional learning.
so we're looking at over 40,000 for 3 years.
I'm not sure.
Because you figure 12,000 for your after the initial plan, right?
Well, I don't know, if I need to see a contract to see what the, shows in here the license fee.
Well, I'm just saying if we look at the 30, if they give it some, I mean, for the 3 years, I was thinking a little further down the road.
You do this discount, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when we do these, we sign them up, it's not like you pay on the contract, you pay for this year. But if you're obligated next year, you'll pay next year, so you won't pay, usually you won't pay anything up front.
Yeah, I'm not talking about upfront, I'm just saying
Yeah,
long
you
term.
stay commit, you
If we
commit.
commit for 3 years, we're probably somewhere in.
And the price will fluctuate based on the amount of licenses that the district purchases as well. So if we were to see a significant drop in enrollment or a significant increase, then you would also see the cost per license adjusted.
Okay. So we're gonna put it down? Well, I was thinking we could probably approve it.
And then you could vote to amend
Yeah.
when you get the extended contract.
Would be.
Yeah, you can do an approval. Yeah, and then you could always put it as an action item at the next board meeting if you want to amend the approved contract, or if you decide to go with a multi-year.
Because also please note that I did, now as I was looking at this, there is a tax included and we are exempt, so I will relay that to them as well.
Well, we approve it here.
You just need to remove the P1.
Well, that's what I was thinking too, but with the recommended changes, we have to take action here.
You don't need to. It's not like you are replacing something else or something.
Yeah. No action taken on item C. Next item D, discuss school assessment presentation.
When you throw this up, I'm gonna go through it. When you throw this up on the screen like that, is it shared, is that saying that, is that sending it to YouTube? Or are we the only ones that can see that?
I think we're the only ones that can see it.
But is YouTube still going?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
I'm not gonna be able to put it on here though.
Share the screen.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to put it on here because of the, no, because of the, what do you call it, Microsoft Office isn't, PowerPoint's not, I do have hard copies, so. Yeah, see?
I have one for you.
You have one?
You can buy your laptop. Then. I have a copy.
Did all that work and think slides and
Yes, I want to be as transparent as possible. Okay, Chairman, Ryan, members of the board, community members, staff. In front of you, you have our MSSA results and cohort trends. Please note that this is the end of the year summative assessment, that yearly summative assessment that the state gives for all elementary schools in the state. It's called, go ahead. Measures of
So
students.
measures of student success and achievement.
So it is the summit, the ones that they have to take in the spring. Note that there's no assessment at all for upper level. The only ones that take upper level are your PSAT sophomores and SAT juniors. So that's why I guess important that what I should have stated earlier, iReady, is that it's something that we can use data for. So in terms of that one, I just want to, if we go to our first slide, in there's our language arts outperforms mathematics in every grade level. So if we're looking at this graph in front of us, this is the percent proficient. This is, of course, our students are proficient and advanced whenever they're taking their assessments. Your language arts are your left bar, and your mathematics are your right bar. So it shows a consistent pattern that language arts, of course, proficiency exceeds mathematics in every grade level. The highest language art proficiency is 48% in fourth grade, which means that half of our students in fourth grade tested proficient. Almost half of our students, which is very good. The state average is way less than that. So I guess one of the questions we can ask ourselves, what are we doing and what did that fourth grade teacher do last year that can help other teachers improve their instruction? In mathematics, the teachers not. In mathematics, the highest proficiency was only 15% in grades 3 and 7. Okay, 15% is decent. It's not where we want to be, but compared to the state scores, it is.
It was 0 last year.
It was 0 last year.
It was 0 last year, so we made a.
So there was improvements in terms of that one, and I think that's what we want to share with the board is, all this data, like, of course, we'll be, when we retake this MSSA data, we're gonna see like increases and decreases and all that stuff. That's what we want to be transparent about. Is it working or is it not? It's just like these assessments, we're not just taking them just to take them. And of course, we have language arts strengths to build on, but our mathematics performance requires immediate and sustained attention. You go to page 3, which is, this is just a cohort. Cohort is, so when we're taking a look at assessment data, we're not just looking at how our third graders this year performed versus our third graders last year, because they're two different grade levels. When we start looking at data as administrators and staff members and board members, we want to see growth between when they go from third grade to fourth grade to fifth grade to sixth grade. And that's why I guess it's important with the iReady. We want to see the improved growth and see, are they increasing or decreasing? So that's what a cohort is. How are they performing from one year to the next? How are last year's third graders performing to this year's fourth graders? So you can see there that our cohort transitions from third to fourth grade, that English language arts went up 14 points, but their mathematics decreased. From fourth to fifth grade, they went up 6 points in ELA and they decreased 6 points in mathematics. From grades 5th and 6th, they decreased in language arts, but increased in math. And then of course you can see the rest of the data there. So I think it's just important to note that we have to, as administrators, we take a look at this and say, what happened between grades in 5th and 6th that they decreased 7 points? And of course, that's where we start taking a look at, potential staffing changes. Well, maybe that 6th grade teacher is stronger at a lower level. So, that's some of the trends that we do look at when we make our administrative decisions in terms of moving staffs, potentially. And then, of course, if they're struggling, we offer those support for those teachers. More math, ELA, stuff like this. You can see there, for example, our grades 6 through 7, the teacher's very strong in mathematics, but the kids only grew 3 points in ELA. So there's some of the things that we do look at. So I guess we just need to identify what contributed to these early grade gains and determine how much these effective practices can be sustained. So what are they doing in the lower elementary in terms of ELA that we're struggling in the upper levels of ELA in the elementary? So that's what I task my administrators to do, is whenever they're doing their observations and their walkthroughs, what's happening in one class that can be helping in the other class. And of course, get those teachers that are strong in either math or ELA and help them work with the teachers that aren't, that may be struggling. Maybe it's just something that they don't understand how to do. Well, these veteran teachers or the elementary teachers can help them as well. So if we go to the next slide, which is slide 6, I think we have, or which one we have? Grade 8. So I think it's important to note that Mathematics is the district's most urgent academic priority. And I think across the state, mathematics is, I know, there has been a lot of push for ELA. I know Ms. Daya attended a thing last year with her structured literacy, like there's all this stuff about literacy. They're finally starting this year to do stuff for math. So that's something we're gonna have to start sending our teachers to. I guess one of the important things is I'm a former math teacher, and how do we teach math to the students? That's one of the things too that we'll be working on with our staff members. And as the superintendent of the school district, the instructional leader, I'll be working with them as well with the teachers. I'll be in there with the teachers as a former math teacher as well. 95% of the grade 6 students, 6th grade students performed below proficiency, and grade 8 had no student reach proficiency at all. Of course, because the low performance appears across multiple grades, our response must address both unfinished learning and the quality and consistency of core mathematics instruction. I know that this year there's a new mathematics program, so it's going to be something that the teachers are going to have to learn and start teaching. So it's going to be very important for us to work with this and see how we're going to move this forward. So with that, I think I'm a little bit off on the Zoom. So the next one, targeted support. Since we have like no separate intervention block per se, like for example, we will have a 4th grade intervention class or a 5th grade intervention, math intervention, or high school intervention, stuff like that. We have to embed the instruction in the classroom. So what are we going to do as a school? And of course, I will be sharing that with the staff, my expectations of how we're going to do this. I know that one of the things we mentioned earlier, or Ms. Hernandez and Ms. Daidy mentioned earlier about rigor. Rigor is, what are we going to do in the classroom to make sure that our instruction is more meaningful? It's not just, I know one of the books I used to read was a math teacher's worksheets don't build dendrites. And that means that, worksheets are just busy work. We're not just going to give a kid a worksheet and do like that. I want more collaboration, more critical thinking. All that stuff is what my expectations are going to be for the school district moving forward. So I think just important to note that we are going to re-emphasize rigor in the classroom. And of course, we're talking about the Chromebooks. That's where the Chromebooks will be fizzled out, not completely eliminated, but it'll be more pencil and paper. Critical thinking. They have to write down their thoughts, their answers, explain their thinking, things like that. I think that's very important to know. And it's gonna, so this is all gonna have to be through what we call our 90-day plans. Every year, the school districts are required to provide 90-day plans, and what a 90-day plan is the school sites and principals are in charge of this. Is what's their action plan for the deficiencies in the school district, and I'm not saying not particularly deficiencies, but
like areas of improvement.
Areas of improvement. So there's several different. I think there's like 10 or 11 different ways you can improve. One like school culture. There's tier 1 instruction. There's core instruction. All these different things in there. I think our focus is going to be tier 1 instruction in the classroom. I think it's important to note that we want to reinvent those, and what I like to call them are hot skills or high order thinking skills. For example, in social studies, question: when was who are the 2 countries that fought in the Revolutionary War? Is that a critical thinking question? Or who are the 2 armies that fought in the French-American War? Things like that. No, we want the question to be predict what would happen if the South would have won the Civil War. How would the United States look today? So the students would need a background information about what the Civil War was in order to predict, hey, if the South would have won, this would probably be going on. That's what we want. Mathematics, for example, we want them to explain their thinking. They're not just going to go and solve a word problem. I have gas costs $4 a gallon, and I have 20, and I put in 20 gallons. How far can I go? Stuff like that. Well, they're going to have to write out their answers and all. That's what we're going to start working with the students. I know it's not something that we're going to be hitting the ground with on day one. It's going to be a work in progress. So, it could take a year or so just to get this done. It's like I said, it's not something that's gonna happen overnight, but it has to be, mindset change and from our community, our staff members and our students. So it's gonna have to be everybody coming together, and it's up to us to relay this information and let everybody know that this is our plan for moving forward. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And just real quick, I want to reiterate when I mentioned earlier about those 90-day plans, it is not just a Superintendent Castillo's plan, a board plan. It's a whole group. So they will choose a team, and from this team, you have to get like a special ed teacher. You have, and we don't have a counselor now, but you got to get like a core instruction teacher. You got to get an elected teacher, and you got to get all these people together and to develop this action plan. So it's just something that's a cohesive, and actually you can even invite parents as well and students as well to create this plan. And I know, and I don't know if I included it, but it is there. On the last slide, I did find a strategic plan for the school district on the school website. And I did compare what we're trying to do to improve student achievement and compare it and use the strategic plan from the school website. And of course, there's your prioritized mathematics, that's part of your strategic plan, stuff like this. So that's where we're gonna start using, aligning the strategic plan to help improve student scores. Thank you. Any questions?
No.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
So this is what we've been working on the last 2 weeks, so,
Well, weeks.
yeah, so it's good.
Good job.
Yeah, absolutely. Most of the trends across the state track along that ELA scores going up and not so great in math, right? That's
Actually, nationally.
kind of
It's
where
been-
we're at.
it's been
And
national.
I know the last couple of 2-3 years have been pretty much more focused towards ELA and not necessarily math. So those interventions are working as far as we can tell for ELA. So hopefully we'll start seeing the same trend.
I think the biggest struggle in terms of math instruction is your lower level of courses. Really numbers like in kindergarten, like part of the standards and benchmarks are can the kid count up to 100? That's what you assess the kids on. That's what you have to teach. That's what the state's time you have to teach. When you start getting into third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, then the math becomes more complex. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, how hard would it be to teach, particularly like a sixth grade math?
For me right now, coming
Yeah.
from first grade,
Yeah. So,
yeah, it's a higher level, definitely, for
See.
sure, and there's multiple steps involved. And so I think the basics to teach them would be how to break it down. Like step by step type thing. That's what I would think.
so overall, and being a former principal, one of the things that I did notice whenever I was helping cover elementary last year is a lot of our upper elementary teachers really don't understand the math that they're teaching, and that's why the kids are struggling. So it's our job, and I think the PED has realized that, and that's why they're offering this more resources for these teachers. So, and it's our job to provide these resources or share these resources with these teachers, and of course find which teachers are strong in certain subject areas, and they help train the ones that are struggling.
So that Common Core math is not working.
The Common Core standards, you mean?
Well, the little blocks and all that. It takes, I mean, you go along the block to get the same answer, different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just different strategies is what it
Yeah.
is. It's trying to get the child comfortable with one strategy that they can use, where another child can use a different strategy. That's what it is, but yeah, it can get a little confusing.
Once you get to about the middle school level, the 7, 8, the Common Core kind of disappears. But as long as you have a teacher at that level that can transition from the Common Core to how we were taught way back when with multiplication instead of using the box, doing it old school, could possibly work for some of those students. The biggest problem has just been the holes or gaps that, let's just say again, a first grade teacher goes up to 6th grade, they're not comfortable in teaching fraction to decimal to percentage and using negative integers or negative numbers to start doing basic algebra.
Well, and I think with the interim assessment, it'll also help our teachers get that data so that we as the site administrators know what we need to focus our PLC on. That's why I do have a different schedule on Wednesdays for advisory so that we're not taking away from instructional time. But that can also be when we're working on that intervention during that time. And so at least we can drive that with that data that we're seeing.
And my schedule of has blocks of intervention already in the day, every day for intervention.
For math specific or
Either or. 2 days of math and 2 days for ELA, because we don't want to lose that ELA intervention either.
This is really good information for us, because like I explained before, sometimes those numbers don't look so great. And we're like, well, what happened?
And please note, that when you're taking a look at this, and I know, we all wanna see, high proficiency levels, but as a work in progress and where we're starting at now, and taking a look like last year, for example, our 8th graders, they were 0% proficient. So don't be disappointed if we get 10% proficiency this year. With a small cohort, the data is going to fluctuate a lot. 1 or 2 students can move 10 percentage points. But as site administrators or instructional leaders of the school district, we want to see improvement. Whether it's, and sure we want to see the 30-40% improvement, but it's a work in progress. If we start with, let's say elementary, and we see that our first graders at 5% improvement, and we grow by 5-10% every year, by the time they come high school, they're going to be above the 60% proficiency level. So as long as we see growth, we're doing something right. And of course, we work with those struggling kids, but I think one of them showed that the novice students were 95% in 6th grade. Well, if we move 95%, let's say 50% of those students from novice to nearing proficiency, although they're not proficient, we did see increase. So the next year we're going to move them from nearing proficiency to proficient. So just please note that that's the other part of the data we look at. They might not all be proficient, but they are growing, and that's what we want.
I'm glad you made your presentation, because when you look at just the data alone, if there's 8th graders and 0 are proficient, then it makes you, well, how did they pass?
Yeah.
You know, how did they get moved forward if they didn't retain any of it?
Yeah, and that's why we also want to do that crosswalk and that correlation between what we're seeing as far as passing grades in the classroom and seeing how it connects to our assessment data. But Superintendent Castillo is correct that our end counts are so small that 2 students could show us at 0%, even if maybe we did have a student or 2 that scored proficient, and the other 14. And so I think also just being cognizant of that is really important. And when I worked at the State Department, I tried to argue that all the time. It is very hard to compare smaller districts to APS, where they have hundreds of thousands of students. So even if 87% of their population is at novice, they still have 20% that helps boost up their scores just because their end count is so high.
Well, it's finally starting to make some sense. because it's taken me a while
It's-
to
Law of averages.
kind of understand some of this.
I think we also need to get the students motivated.
Yes,
That's a big factor. Some just don't want to or don't care, you know.
and
They don't-
celebrate the
They
small
don't
growth.
see a reason, yeah. Celebrate the successes.
Celebrate the small growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go to unfinished business. Item A, discuss the possible action regarding ancillary service agreements.
He's coming.
Sorry.
Brian, they didn't go up. The same
No.
last year, they didn't go up.
Yeah, it's the same.
These ones,
Please note, this is on the cohort change, that's last year's data and the year before. It's not, so that's last year's fourth grader, so when it says third to fourth, that's this year's fifth graders. So I didn't reflect that it's this current year's fifth graders.
you were just talking about, we went through it and finished.
So sorry.
So we're on
for that.
item A, discussing possible action regarding the ancillary services and occupational therapy.
Second.
From
Second.
With what company?
Sierra. Sierra's who we have, right?
Yes.
The first and the second to approve Sierra for all three. Any discussion? Hearing none, continue with call the roll.
Board Member Romero,
Yes.
Board Member Cisneros,
Yes.
Chairman Rael.
Yes. We will move on to financial reports. Item A, budget actuals.
What's going on back there? What's going on there? Move. Dinner, what's happening back there?
Wagner Equipment Company, did we get the Bobcat? Was it a Caterpillar? Bobcat or
Cat.
Cat?
Did we already receive the capital outlay for it?
Yeah, we already submitted the reimbursement request.
Okay.
We got to do that by June 30th.
That was one we agreed.
Yeah.
We allocated, Any questions for the taxes? Move on to item B, budget adjustment requests. See the one. Entertain a motion to approve the bar. ID 0790026270001.
Is that to cover the projected change then?
This was the original amount that they sent July 1st. So you'll have another one coming in probably by the next board meeting.
Okay.
And then we also, one of our contractors had to purchase his bus, so that'll be another adjustment.
I'll second. Mr. Castillo, no.
Member Romero,
Yes.
Member Cisneros,
Yes.
Chairman Ryan.
Yes. Motion carries. Next item is the permanent cash transfer.
So this one came about with the audit from the government. And we purchased the oven that we needed. It was 12,954, and the federal limit was 10,000. And so they needed us to transfer the 2,954 difference from the operational back into nutrition. And so they're bumping that up to 15,000 this year, but last year it was 10,000 that we could spend on the equipment.
Second, first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item D, pre-approval list. For approval of requisitions over 5,000. This is the iReady requisition. Go ahead, sir.
There's not a way to take this out of, tech fund, and have to come out of operational.
So the state gave us, well, the issue of 74,000 for curriculum. And so you first have to use that, and then anything past that point.
So this would be.
Tech, they don't really allow us to do software like this. So we would first have to spend on our curriculum before looking anywhere else.
So the balance is 74, this is the first purchase out of that, 74?
Yeah.
I'll move.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Chairman Ryan, I know we had discussed earlier about the possibility of a 3-year contract. Do you still want me to look into that or?
Yeah,
Okay,
and then,
possibly, and then, okay,
yeah,
thank you. But I did send an email to her already.
that was the only one, requisition. Yes. Next one up is future business. Item A, future planning.
I think the only thing for nothing future planning, just the beginning of the school year. I want to thank member Hill for putting it in our head to have this back to school supply drive. So I think she did reach out to, or she is going to reach out to law enforcement, EMS, and as well as other entities to see if to get them here on that day. We did receive the supplies from Lano today. So we did get 150 or 125 backpacks that will be distributed to the students on that day as well. I know teachers are putting in requisitions and for other supplies that are needed, such as graph paper and things like that. So I just want to thank everybody who's put in effort for this back to school supply drive.
No, on the training, you guys got one. There's one in Towson, maybe?
Last week.
Last week,
Michael's the one that went.
All right, move on to items suggested for future meetings.
Please note that we will need executive session for the next meeting, and you are CC'd in that email in terms of those 2 items. I will share those with the board in a future email with the rest of the board. But it's items that have been I guess discussed in previous meetings that I did meet with the attorney this weekend, and she was at the retreat, and she did let me know that there are a couple of resolutions that we need to address, and they would be discussed in executive session that day, which she will be available during that time. We just have to let her know in advance what day the meeting will be, and she will be virtual to discuss those resolutions.
Is that one Sam?
No,
Melissa?
the one from Ortiz and Zamora Munoz.
I would like to have the, community center, I guess, better support, or how we,
I tried that.
well, I wanna bring it back anyway.
Would this require board approval, or is it
Got a vote on it.
Yeah.
Resolution for letter support.
Would you like to have it?
Yeah.
Can discuss that further.
I guess moving forward as well, an item suggested for future meetings is, I guess, and thank you, Member Cisneros, for the comments on my board report. Is there anything more you need from us administrators in terms of a board report, or is there anything we're lacking, or are they sufficient enough? Because I know we weren't sure and like what to provide in the board reports, but just let us know and we could include those. I know that I've let them know for future, for example, school enrollments, attendance percentages, things like that. We want to take a look at, and we can share those with the board because I know that was a concern for the board. So those will be included in future board reports once school starts. So we might not see it until probably a month after school starts, beginning with those attendance percentages.
I know at some point it kind of lapsed or it stopped, probably before me, but we used to also get reprimands and stuff like that.
Yeah. Those are personnel issues that.
No, for students.
Oh, recognition?
So many write-ups, or yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so you want like infractions,
Yeah.
discipline referrals?
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna do
Percentages.
The amount of referrals
numbers
and
and
yeah, we can.
disciplinary action, and all that kind of stuff, just
Yeah.
so if there's something that the board needs to support on, at least we know, hey, there's something going on at the site, so we can help with.
We'd also like to do some student celebrations and recognitions with the board stuff.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah, under presentations, last, we kind of did Alta Vista one board meeting and then high school the second one.
Perfect.
Or whatever you know.
And I let them know that now at the beginning of the school year that we will be, like, they'll be required to attend the board meetings once we get settled in, then we will start doing those bi-monthly reports.
I would prefer you guys here every board meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be here.
Only because there's always a question, what's, so it's best to have the administrator see it for sure.
Thank you.
Maybe, I don't know if we can put it on here, but, or as an item on a future meeting, but definitely we should have some dialogue maybe with Chevron and Kit Carson about the findings of that report. I don't know if you have it yet.
I have not seen any, this was the first time I heard about it.
We'll send it, we'll get it to you, but maybe we should reach out and see if we can, either have that on a meeting or maybe have a meeting specific.
Yeah, I think at least some discussions warranted. I think it's a bit misleading to say that sample they got was from Alta Vista and not from actually in Alta Vista grounds, but if we needed to have somebody come and do our own independent sample, we could probably do it. Because it goes back to the safety of our kids, so at least have the discussion and then maybe we can figure out what we wanna go moving forward in that regard. Sooner the better, so the next meeting for sure.
And also for my future board reports, I will be including updates on the PSFA and any correspondence that I get from them, and I will forward it to you guys just so we're all abreast of what's going on. And then earlier I did give you guys a flyer. Is that something that?
Oh, yeah.
Is that sufficient enough to post online?
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
okay. Sounds good, thank you.
I think maybe we should probably just make it
Forum?
an item or forum or however we disseminate it to the public to discuss this, so that they know where we're at and the steps we gotta take.
And I did ask for guidance on potential steps and things like that, and like I said, he said it's a big on process and we're barely in the beginning, so there's still a lot we gotta go through. For example, he told me that, because when I did mention about the architect, he did let me know that they actually have to come in and they will decide what we can and can't build. For example, our gym, for example, is a very nice gym. They could possibly come in and if we so choose to rebuild the gym, they could potentially come in and tell us we need to downsize your gym based on your enrollment, the gym square footage. So in other words, they would be something similar to we only have 5 or 6 features. That's coming from them. So it's the pleasure of the board because you have the final say in this to say, well, we only want to remodel the gym, we don't want to tear it down and build a new one, since it is a good gym. But that's just some of the things that are from past experience that I dealt with in terms of PSFA is they go off your enrollment and and they will determine your square footage in terms of
Yeah, that was kind of explained to us as far as the square footage of the school itself, but not affecting the athletic.
It's everything, including buildings that are off-site.
Didn't tell us that part.
So please note that, there is that we'll discuss this in executive session, but in terms of, there are, other buildings that could possibly affect our square footage.
Okay,
In terms of,
Yeah, just,
put it on the agenda.
we'll discuss
and
it.
we'll discuss that during executive session.
Anything further? Item adjournment.
Second.
First and second. All in favor?
Yeah.
Alright, any opposed? We adjourned at 8:17.
We'll cook.
No. Jason, you guys know, you guys know about that training? No, I don't know, like, school board, but
Oh, yeah.
you're not here tonight, it goes on with that.
Oh, Ruben, was there?
No, he goes.
Is that now the one?
Oh, sorry, I'm walking you.
No, I was there.